It actually is kind of creates the altered sound.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And what's hip is the chord before it, G major. So if you go from G major to G melodic, you're only changing one note.
Right.
So often you'll hear people playing like. They're changing like one note, so like that. So fast patterns are a lot easier if you kind of, for like continuity with that one note changes. You have to kind of dig into the alter a little bit to understand where that comes from.
Yeah, we would have to dig into that a little more.
Yes.
Because I don't know where we just, I mean.
We used the altered on the C#7, but I wanted them to have the harmonic minor
I like the harmonic minor too.
because I think people don't know like that's the starting place. Five of minor tonic
Does
is
this have anything to do with tritone substitutes, or is that something completely different?
no.
So when we're talking dominant world, it's
Yeah,
the
dominant
whole
world.
thing. It's a lot of different colors, right? It's a lot of
I'm
choices.
aware of that. I've been learning bitonality about it.
Yeah. But the reason that I like with this song to actually think about altered scale is like it kind of clicked and it was like very like you can quickly utilize the altered scale over a song like this. Whereas it's kind of harder to latch onto in other songs.
I would, yeah, this song is going to do that.
Because I mean, in general, like often with scales, you kind of need some time to play the scales. It's a lot more notes than just like a triad or an arpeggio, right? Or a
Right.
pentatonic.
Yeah, if you
So
put
mixed
changes,
notes.
it's
If you're playing like bigger, scalier notes, a lot more notes squeezing in, you need more time. This has a lot of time. So, just to continue on that, because I was going to talk about dominance, but I'll tie it into this. This is like where I got a light bulb moment with altered. So the question is like, what is altered?
Yeah, what is altered?
That's the first thing I want to say. So, can we all, before we even say alternate, just play G, what they call G jazz melodic minor. So it's different from classical. It's ascending both ways.
Oh.
So you play the same up and down. Yeah, so one more time. Okay, so what would happen if you started that scale on other notes? It would have a different sound, right? And maybe you might call it something different when we talk about modes. I don't want to go crazy mode heavy right now, but you can't explain why you could use G melodic minor or F#7 without saying that
Oh.
the altered scale is actually
Yeah.
just the G melodic, it comes from G melodic minor. You just go down a step, right? So play from the F sharp. Yeah, that's actually where altered comes from.
Because you're at the B flat in the G, jazz G, melodic minor, which is the A sharp, which is the major.
Yeah, you want to sit with it. You have to be able to like
And you have the E naturalness. Yeah.
play the scale fingerings of a melodic minor, but also be able to say, oh, how does it relate? You gotta do the homework to like relate it to the F sharp.
Yeah, but it makes sense, but it makes complete
But yeah, if you play it again, I'll play kind of F sharp alter, play the scale. 3, 4. Sounds nice, right?
Yeah, that's cool. So you're talking about for the F7.
For this F sharp, you guys are playing Spain. I was like, I love the B harmonic minor. There's other colors, and one that really, this is like where I first started to understand how to utilize and use the altered scale. So you might say, okay, well then, what good is it then? Okay, we know that it's G melodic minor. Well, what's the chord before? G major. So what changes? So from a visualization standpoint, you have one note that changes. So it's really, if you want a certain phrase, like, you know, where you take a motif and you carry it over. So that's the kind of idea. So let's try it. Let me
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's G major scale with a B flat.
Well, we were using G Lydian though.
We're using B or minor, right? It's the dominant world, you have a lot of more options.
Did you say G Lydian?
What's that?
G Lydian?
No, never mind.
Oh,
sorry.
Chris said. Oh,
Yeah, because D major would be G linear, right? Or G major chord, and D major scale would be G.
I like Lydian. No. Okay. So this is the beauty of hearing different perspectives because there's different color options, right?
Yeah, that's all.
Lydian is great over that first chord, but that doesn't mean you can't also use G major.
Well,
Right.
he told us it was D major, but D major is a G Lydian. Isn't it?
So D major chord?
No, he said use a D major scale over the G
Oh,
major.
yeah.
It's just kind of these signatures, two sharps.
Okay, well, I was gonna say, I had a question about how did Chris decide which scales to use over which chords? Like you have a G major 7 chord, but now we're gonna add in a C sharp because the G major 7 doesn't necessarily have a C sharp. So that's kind of what
The
you're.
melody is one reason.
Okay.
Da 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 ba da be da da. The melody uses a C sharp. That's why I chose it. It's also why I chose the harmonic minor. But Jason's choices are absolutely correct. Because
Yeah.
the answer to your question is that the way you fill in the scale around the 4-note chord
Yeah.
is you've got those 4 notes, right?
Yeah,
You put anything you want in between.
okay, so this is like an artistic decision.
I would
that
totally
you made.
also play Lydian, but
Uh-huh.
I would also do patterns that are just straight major. Especially if I was gonna do like this concept where I'm going G major, G melodic minor. So yes, there's color choices, you know, and I think that I actually in the last class was talking about it's so good to look at the melody if you're questioning what are you know, like there's a song we were doing, My Blue Heaven, that the entire A part, the whole song is like D pentatonic. So it's like, oh, well, you know that D pentatonic's gonna work. It's literally in the melody.
Yeah.
So that like that flavor of the C sharp, it kind of implies that Lydian. It also depends on like what if you play with a piano player and they keep leaning into that C sharp, right, that's gonna probably dictate that it's gonna be a better choice too. If you're comping with somebody and they're just like open-ended fifths, then it's a little bit more open-ended. So you'll hear things like, oh, this you can play G Lydian over. You can also play just a straight major scale, right? There are usually multiple, but it's not just do anything. You have your go-tos. Lydian's great go-to.
Lydian works over major scales a lot. I mean, major chords, major sevens works a lot.
Yeah.
Lydian will often work because it's more interesting, so.
Lydian's great too. And major scale's great too. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh.
I've always had this question about the function of because isn't Lydian like a non-functional, like dominant sound, something like that?
To me, I just think of it as like a brighter major.
Right.
I don't know, I just think of it as like a brighter major sound. Like I function it's still like a stable pentatonic sound.
Yeah.
Because so D major, putting a D major scale over a G chord is basically adding an F sharp to the G major.
And a C sharp.
A C sharp.
And
Are we going back to Chris's thing?
Yes.
Are we going back to like what Chris talks about?
No,
No, that-
it's important to.
It is, no. So I think what Chris was saying is if you think about a D major scale on top of the G, you're getting the Lydian sound from the pattern of D major.
Right, because,
That's where it comes from.
right, because the F sharp would be there anyway, because that's the major seven, but it's the C sharp that is the lift that gives you the Lydian sound.
Yeah. There's different ways of accessing.
Because I feel like I would need to sort of figure out where to make it sound.
Yeah, it's what I recommend is create loops, like
Sharps.
create loops, you know, over each chord. Experiment with these different things for sure.
Loops are good.
Yeah, loops are so fun.
Uh-huh.
Just like setting it up.
Yeah, so so this track means heading to the living side, right?
Can you turn it up? Can you connect it to it? Like another
Probably. Go to water.
I mean, I could make a loop for you if you want.
Well, you have a,
You can try that. Yeah, try to go ahead.
what's that? Oh, but it's, I know, right? We're gonna plug the mic. It's gonna pick it up.
I have the mic on. Here. I'll give you a loop if you want. You just want those two chords?
Yeah, right now.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. Or people can hold it down in class too.
The Iro Chris.
Looks like a program.
I was in Iro Pro, yeah.
Yeah, so we're doing
So you just did the first one.
Yeah, just I just I want us to all have a light bulb utilizing alter. Iro Chris, we did this,
who needs a real program?
right?
Yes.
motifs, I was focusing on, you know, the one note that changed, right?
Changes.
So, especially if you have a motif that has that B, if you just change it, you know.
It's gonna be like-
So it's for the types of ideas that are these kind of links that are to have continuity over it, right?
What's like the practical usage of it is when you have
Motifs.
well, when you have, like, for example, playing over like this G major 7 to the F sharp 7, is that like, that's the time to use this, is when you have, or when?
It's a perfect time to use it, yeah.
Okay, when you
I
have
kind of
that
call this like
half
fixed root, where it's like the root, the chord change, but you're fixing the root both times, like to G.
Right.
So G Lydian or G major, and then G altered over that. It's just a nice way of like creating these on the fly, quick little patterns. And the altered color is nice over it. It's not the only, as you heard, I think B was B harmonic minor, which is also cool. So there's different, dominant chords have different options. There's a lot of options. In fact, I was gonna go even deeper with a lot of different options, but because you're already on Spain, I thought it would be a cool place to
May I
start.
just ask a quick question?
Of course.
So the scale that you're playing is starting on G for the F sharp 7. What's the?
G melodic minor.
Okay.
But over the F sharp, you'd call it F sharp altered. That's what the altered scale is. But my visualization that I'm utilizing is not me thinking about F sharp altered. I know the sound and I know that that's what that is, but I'm just accessing this altered sound through this idea of this. So then you say, okay, how would you do this on a song that didn't do like G to F
Or
sharp?
like, I guess, how would you identify, like, this is a place where you can do something like that, where you take a motif and you alter it by one note? Like, what are the signs?
I'm always looking for those.
So, yeah.
In
what are
every
the-
song.
I guess, what are the signs of either, like, that the lead sheet show or that you hear that, oh, I can take this pattern, alter it by one note, and it'll work?
Well, so for sure it's great for this because you have to know, once you know that
Yeah.
F sharp altered equals G melodic minor, now you're like, wow, okay, this is gonna be perfect. So this is a song where it really clicked. You do see it in other places.
Yeah.
The other reason that it just in general clicks for the altered is, I feel like the altered needs time to kind of develop. Like you can do a really quick altered lick that resolves like a 5-1, but in this case, you're sitting on that F sharp for a long time, so you got some time to kind of like kind of really play, like, really dive into the scale. But I'm always looking for those types of things when it's a non-typical chord progression. If it's a 2-5-1, that has its own language.
Right.
But if something's kind of twisty, if a chord progression is kind of atypical, I'm always looking for the ways to connect the dots and find those strategies where I can make these longer ideas where like, oh, they're like these little hacks. It takes a couple steps to get there, but once you realize it, this is where just like that relationship of the dominant, if you want to make it altered, you go up a half step, make it that melodic minor. That's where really click, because you can really dive into that sound altered there. Because more than anything, we could tell you all the scales to play, but you need to sit down and like try it and really be like, I like this sound, I like this color. And so that's when it really clicks. And this is this perfect vehicle. This particular song is where I had a light bulb with altered, which is why I want to bring it up with that.
So with the altered, you have flat 5, is that right?
Okay, yeah, so G melodic minor, now over the actual dominant chord, if you label it with F sharp as the 1 chord, that's not the 1, obviously. So you have F sharp as what? 1. Where's the G? Flat 9. Sharp 9. That's the 3rd. Flat 5.
Yes.
Flat 6. Flat 13. It's got all of them.
Yes, and the C now
Got them all.
is the,
But yeah,
Yeah.
So
let's
is
come
it-
back.
So is that, so one thing you had with the D and the Lydian, you had the C, sharp with the Lydian, now we're getting rid of them.
C sharp too. Is there also that kind of is that like a motion that we're looking at?
You could, yeah. So if you were to do the Lydian, G, you have to change 2 notes.
Oh, yeah.
If you're doing just G major, which
Oh,
ultimately, even though this has a sharp 11, like, and you lean into Lydian, but I still play it. You can still do that.
That sounds like the main difference between this B harmonic minor and your altered one is that C sharp or C natural, right? That changes.
But there's some similarities to B melodic minor, B harmonic minor. So don't get the A.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So first thing I want us to do is you gotta sit with this. Everyone's gotta sit with it over the week. So the first thing, instead of going like further down the line, just say, okay, why does it work that you can do over this particular one song, G major scale to G melodic minor, which gives you alter. That's like the first thing to just like just the digest. Sit with that, go I wrote pro, create that loop between the 2 chords, and try to find those motifs where you're doing a G major pattern and then the G major. So you can find those. That's the takeaway for sure. As soon as you start being, you want to have those, and then you can try this, you can do this, you can try this, and then what about this, and then, but then it gets too complicated. At the end of the day, you want to have these strategies that you can pull if you had to play the song, tonight. Oh, maybe you just have these little couple target notes, right? Sometimes by being like, I have every scale note to work with, maybe let me just find the couple scale notes I like the sound of. That's another good strategy, right? And a lot of the motifs I did leaned into certain notes, right? They weren't always random, Right, so that's another important thing.
Because a lot of times in minor, a 2-5-1 would have the 5 would have a 5-5. So by doing that altered scale, you're getting a 5-5.
You do, yes, but yeah. But even if you're not coming from like the theory brain, it's like hear the sound, live in that the color of it, and just.
I guess maybe that's my question a different way. The 5-5 is safe because it's the 3 and the 7 that you gotta worry about, right?
Yeah, well,
whatever else someone's playing that sharp 7.
Well, so this is the important thing that really helps if you're like, this is a lot. This to me is such an important thing with anything. Like, there's all these notes. We say flat 9, sharp 9, flat 5, flat. That's all good. But remember, always think about what are the key notes, right? The arpeggio itself. So that's with you when you have altered. It has the root, the 3rd, the 7th. So remember, like what Chris was saying, you got the chord notes you can fill in. So right now we're filling in the root, 3rd, 7th with these other notes. Does that make sense? That helps me not get overwhelmed by like really finding those root, make sure that you find the chord tones, and that the scale kind of plays in the cracks of the arpeggio. Otherwise, you're getting overwhelmed by like, there's too many notes, there's too many things to think about. But just always go back, simplify it. Okay, extract everything except for, in this case, chord, and then you start adding some of the other notes.
So the whole chord, what are the notes, like how far does it go with extension? Is it just the 3?
What's that? What are the, so it's the F sharp is the root, and it has the flat 9, sharp 9, then it's the 3rd, so that's chord tone. So you have the flat 9, sharp 9, gets you to the 3rd, flat 5, flat 13 gets you to the 7th. It's like you have like 2 notes that kind of get you to the chord tones. 3rd and 7th. That's kind of how I think about it. That's it.
So you're saying an alt chord would have a flat 9, sharp 9, and then
flat 5 and flat 13. It's got a lot of alterations.
That's a lot of.
But at the end of the day, all I do is I think about G line. That's what's gonna give me the actual. So that's what's giving me the actual note choices. That's all book theory of like, oh, it's these notes, it checks out. But as far as like when you're in the moment, that's as far as what my map and visualization is, it's the G line.
And jazz melodic minor is the same on the way up as on the way down. And that's
Exactly.
different
So
from
what they call classical.
Right, that's classical.
Classical, but jazz. What they call it's the ascending version only.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And it means that when you're doing a minor chord, if you're doing 2-5-1s, you would do it.
I was not even thinking 2-5-1s right
Okay,
now.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Good.
I think we'll separate 2-5s to its own world.
I know, it's just I have it on my iRoll program.
Oh yeah.
But
2-5s are great, but.
so if you were, it just means that when you get to your final chord, your tonic, it would be following that jazz melodic minor because you have the major 7th minor.
Yeah, and
that
in general, like.
and that's really cool because all 3 tones are so beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
That's just what I've been practicing in the past weeks.
Nice. Yeah. And it's good to just like sit on it. Has anyone ever tried this? Just try this, ready? I'm gonna play the 3rd and 7th. Play the F sharp. Just live there. G. A. A sharp. C. D. E. I like every note. They're colorful and it's kind of
Beautiful.
so. If you ever have that moment where it's all feels it's in your head, it's all a numbers game. Don't want that. It's like the theory should be like a fun way of like checking out after me. Like let me just make sure the theory works. It should always come back to like let me actually like this sound or not. If you don't like how something sounds, don't use it. I personally love the way it sounds. I don't play it altered that much over like a bluegrass tune, but I love it in a jazz piece. It's like knowing when to use stuff. I guess you could, but so just the idea of like I love just hitting the 37 and just like experimenting with every note against it. Just to play the scale and actually live in each tension note and say, ooh, that feels kind of cool. So then when you are actually using it, that's what you're doing is you're creating that tension by sitting on each note, right? So I know everyone has different levels of like theoretical knowledge. So if you're ever like, it's all theory, it's all numbers, go back to just like, okay, it's a dominant chord that has a 3rd and a 7th. So play those and then just see if you can play each note against it. Just live in it, relish it. You're like, okay, I like that sound. Then it'll inspire you to want to do that.
When you say each note, you mean like every note?
No, each note.
Each note in the scale
Of that particular scale, yeah.
of the chord that you're playing.
To actually understand, like, and enjoy the alter scale, I was just saying, play the dominant chord and sit on each note of the alter and just have
Of this particular alter.
Yeah. First isn't just being because sometimes when you go flat 9, sharp 9, flat 5, it's just numbers. But if you actually sit there and do a drone or do in this case, it's really good just to do the 3rd and 7th, and you play each note, and you sit there on it, right? Then you kind of like, ooh, that's cool tension. And a lot of jazz is tension and release. Like a lot of music is tension and release. So it's just another color that we can access. Altered scale. So you guys are doing altered over the C sharp.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what did Chris say as far as did Chris told you to play altered?
He just
D
said
melodic
that they demonic.
So, okay, so here's an analogy. F sharp altered is to G as C sharp is to
D.
So it checks out, right? It checks out. So I just wanted to say, like, It's not my theory. This is like anyone who looks at an altered chord will go up that half step and play melodic minor.
Right.
So
Okay.
C sharp altered, B melodic minor.
And it's partly because it's not that world, you can do all kinds of cool things.
Yes, yes. Speaking of dominant world, let's build up. Okay, let's do this. This is what my original plan was to build up and start going from doing what I call the everything over dominant. It's not obviously going to be everything over it, but this is kind of how I approach it. I just remembered why this is so quiet, because IMO Pro is so quiet. Wait, oh, you can't turn it up. Wait,
You can turn it up.
you can't turn it up. You're right. I remember, you can't turn it up. Yeah, you can't. You have to turn all the instruments up. That's the way to do it. I forgot that. Okay. Let's see how loud we can get here. That's better. Okay. So now we're going to start. This is our just a G7 loop. Just a G7. Okay. So we're going to start with, let's just play a G triad. We're going to build up. So let's do a 2-octave G triad. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. So now I want to do there's another melodic minor that over this that doesn't create alter. If you play over a dominant chord, play D melodic minor. So it'll be. Let's do some motifs with melodic minor. Calm response. Ready?
Yeah, it's like a
I like that sound.
It's kind of like Lydia.
Yeah.
It's also, it's a sharp 11.
But it comes back to this idea that keeps coming up is that a lot of times to create a certain sound, people are just playing a melodic minor scale over something. Like we did over the F sharp, we played G melodic minor. Over dominant chords like this, it's kind of hip. So you should need to know the pivot point. So if you see a G7, you could play D melodic minor. So let's say it was a C7, you play G melodic minor. You want to know that relationship, right? So you could either think melodic minor off the fifth or off the fifth of that, like off the fifth of it.
Say that again, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Just say it again what you said.
Totally. Okay. Yeah. So the chord itself that we're jamming over is G7, right? So we're kind of coming up with different strategies over G7. So this D melodic minor. So the way to think about it is two ways. One is go up a fifth, or you just find the chord tone as the fifth. Like either you think of what is like a fifth away, or find just the fifth, degree, chord degree, and play the scale off that.
All right, so if you're on the G7,
Yeah, D melodic.
D melodic minor, oh, okay.
Yeah, if you're C7, be G melodic minor. So it's like going up.
E melodic.
What's that?
If you're on A7.
A7 would be E
E
melodic
melodic
minor. Yeah.
And what this melodic minor is giving you is that Lydian tone, which is the sharp 11.
Back to Lydia.
And it's that sharp 11 sound that
Yeah.
we're aiming for, that we love.
I love this sound.
I love
Like
the sound of sharp 11.
just listening, like get your ears calibrated to this sound. Check it out. Ready? I like that sound.
So it's just like you're treating it like, no, wait, you're,
Bowen.
okay, so it's the same thing as like a D minor major 7.
Yeah, D minor major 7 is a D melodic minor, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So this scale, melodic, jazz melodic minor is going to come up so much. It's like one of those things that you realize is the key to a lot of the colors in jazz.
Yeah.
It's so important. So it'll come up many times. That's what I'm throwing out now, because you'll hear people talk about this melodic minor scale. You'll hear me play, you'll hear Chris play it. Like you want to start recognizing that sound. The melodic minor sound superimposed on top of another chord. That's where it sounds different. Does that make sense? Yeah.
So is it that if you're doing it a half step above the dominant chord, then you're getting the altered sound, and if you're doing it a fifth above, you're getting the
Like a
Lydian
Lydian, yeah.
sound. So
Totally, you get certain sounds based on the relationship of which melodic minor, 100%. 100%. And then you say, like, it feels like, in a way, that it's like extra steps and makes it harder. But here's the thing is, where else does melodic, like let's say you were do a deep dive. I'm a big fan of deep dive with the scale. Where else would you play D melodic minor? Over a D minor chord, right? So there's a lot of times we play stuff licks, and we have patterns that we practice over a D minor chord. And so what you do is you put that framework of all the stuff that you would have done over a D minor chord, now you do over a dominant chord. And if you have if you've already done a deep dive into a song that's in D minor, and now you superimpose that tonality over G7, you take it. That's why it's valuable.
Right, because you have your muscle memory.
Because you have the muscle memory of like all the stuff that you practiced went over a melodic minor scale, over like a song that's actually in that specific melodic minor. So let's say you play a song in D minor, which there's a lot of them, and then you're practicing over that actual D minor, but then you say, oh, I can do that same thing over G7. Then you just realize, oh, all the exact same stuff you already practiced is now superimposed onto this to create this sound. So you have to know the sound it's creating and the kind of why it's valuable. And it does create a lot of access to some new stuff. Melodic minor. Definitely something that keeps coming up, What's that?
I've resisted it for years. My bass playing husband says, just pick up the melodic minor. I'm like, ah.
Oh, so yeah, you're gonna hear it from some people until it's so annoying.
Yeah.
They're like, if somebody tells me to play melodic minor one more time. But there must be something to it, right? We all can't be that. We all can't be crazy.
Your husband should have got someone else to play.
Yeah, right?
Are you getting sponsored to say this?
I'm sponsored.
Her husband.
Who put you up to this? Who are you working for?
Okay, but
So he called you Jason, right?
Totally. So we can do more stuff, or we can go a little deeper into the stuff we just did, which is kind of the fourths pattern, practice that a little bit more, and melodic minor, more calm response, or I can show you more stuff over dominant. It depends on where your brain's at. Because it's day one and I want to fry it. Go deeper into the fourths, Mixolydian / and this melodic minor, or more, like I call it toolbox of stuff you can do. Yeah. Preference. Deeper in one, or introduce you.
What do you mean by deeper in overflows?
So when I say deeper, it'd be like I'll show you more patterns that I would play to unlock.
More toys if it's all the same as everyone else.
More tools.
Oh, more
Okay,
tools,
so
yeah.
it's like learn more things to do over the dominant 7,
Yes.
or go talk more about, or practice more.
Oh, I call it more tools.
More tools, yeah.
More tools.
More tools.
Fry the brain.
Let's fry it. Let's fry it.
Already pre-Christmas.
Yeah, it'll happen.
I'm already really tired.
Okay, this one's one of my favorites. And some of you have heard me talk about this before, but this is something that I really enjoy. It's called Triad pairs.
I love that. I mean, I don't know if this is.
You know this.
oh, these are evil.
Oh my God, evil!
No, I love them though. It's good.
They're my favorite. I love
This
this.
is like fun. All right.
So I'm gonna put. There's a folder that should have gone out to you, a Dropbox folder.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a handout of this, but I want to explain it without the handout. But it'll be followed up with a handout in the folder, as like a practice additional thing. So the whole concept of triad pairs is at its simplest, it's the triad of the chord itself. If you're doing over dominant chords, so you'd have the G, B, D as one of your triads within the pairing of the triad. And then you have another triad that kind of pairs. So then you create this kind of back and forth between two triad sets, and you get a lot of interesting lines that you create. So my first go-to is the F triad, which is kind of a whole step down. And I'll just introduce it by sound. So the whole reason it's a pairing is that you keep going back and forth between the two sets. So you're pairing them together in the pattern. So let's try it real quick. And what's really hard about it is that you gotta really wrap your brain around the two different sets, because you're constantly going to different inversions of each one. You know? It's not a matter of then root position, root, root. It's the voice left. Yeah. And I recommend on cello to do the 3-note combos, the 3-note versus your 4-note combination where you play 4 notes of G and 4. When I do this with my students who work with the cello, 3 notes. So we'll do a 3-note. So G. Now, voice lead to F, but this will frighten her. motif you create over it, the better. But there's a whole world of just back and forth between G and F, right? So you can see how you can create a lot of patterns. It's not as evil. You know,
I was just waiting.
yeah.
The loop you were just using, is that that was just a G chord?
This is
G7.
all G7.
G7.
It is not real pro, right?
It's like a YouTube. It's
Oh,
called.
it's a YouTube.
You should put backing track in G7. That's always the first thing that comes up. It's just this kind of funk groove. It's a great one. 12 minutes of G7. Good for a deep dive.
YouTube is great for that.
Yeah. So you might ask, are there other triad pairs?
There are other pairs.
So I really have like the
That
starting.
was the one I do at practice.
Which one?
The one he just did is A over.
Oh, A, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like start, there's a lot, but I kind of start the three that I've heard in all my, I've transcribed a lot of solos over the years, like digging into other solos and not like always do the full solo, sometimes it's something I like. And if it's like a triad pair thing that I hear in some of the solo, I'm like, what is that? And the one that keeps the three that keep popping up the most, this G and F pops up a lot. The other one is whole step up, so G and A.
And that would be over A7 then?
So this is all over G7.
Ah,
So this is great for what's called static dominance. So there's a difference. You want to divide your like kind of your practice into things that are quickly resolving versus things that last forever. You know, like that's all just a G7, right? Or a pedal, you know. Pedal point is just all one type of dominant. Or even something like a song that like the B part of Rhythm Changes has that, you know. That's enough time. Has to be a few measures. Triad pairs don't make sense unless you have a little bit of time to kind of actually go back and forth between the two triads, if that makes sense. So static dominant chords last long enough, you know, like think like Sweet Georgia Brown. That's long enough. Or in these endless funk grooves like this, that's like just G7 forever. And you're trying to get interesting stuff till the end of time. So that's where triad pairs are most.
The third pair.
Yes, the third pair. All right, your training.
Substitute D flat.
What?
D flat. D flat.
G and D flat.
Wow.
so that is sort of like a tritone substitution.
That's what's called tritone
So
sub.
think of Back to the Future.
That's pretty good. A little more of the tense, right? So the G and F is more stable. G and A. G and D flat, a little more tense. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. I'm gonna give you a handout that has like a starting point of these three triad pairs. Yeah, I'll put them in that folder. But it's fun. Let's do a little round robin. Everyone pick one of the things and we'll all kind of just trade for fun, trade links in a circle.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. 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 Let's give you space. Spicy, I like it. I like it. One thing that you're playing that we should all do, I didn't even talk about, which is kind of like a major blues scale. That's also a good one. Major blues.